So welcome everyone. This is my name is Brian Conlon, and this is my partner in crime here, Riley Cormack. Today we're going to be talking about the Enneagram and the Marvel Avengers movies because A, they're amazing, and B, the Enneagram kind of kicks ass. The thing that I will start contextually is that whenever doing Enneagram typing in movies, something that I struggle with is the actor themselves has an Enneagram type in real life. Mm-hmm. Then they are portraying someone. Sometimes those two line up. Yeah. Sometimes they don't.
Right, and I think you were about to say earlier before we started shooting, the challenge with typing characters that aren't always fully fleshed out. Avengers has 1,000 characters, and so some of them are more fleshed out than others.
Exactly.
As I've been sort of studying for this conversation, it's occurred to me that the characters who've had their standalone movies have more often been fleshed out. You see their origin story,
for sure.
Why they're doing what they're doing, and that gives you some hint of their Enneagram type.
Yeah, and being that we're dealing with a fictional universe and fictional characters, it's people may not always stay true to an Enneagram type.
Right. Yeah, I find that too. That it shifts over time with some of the characters.
For sure, because we're making with make-believe characters, and what I find is that the more a character resonates with me, the more kind of congruent the Enneagram type is with the character. In other words, staying within the confines of that character for motivations, behaviors, etc. But also the actor resonates with that type in real life. Yeah. Or has some affinity or connection to it, so they can channel that Enneagram chi, if you will.
It's my experience that especially in series or in series of movies, when a character sticks around for a while, it starts out. It can often start out one type, and then slowly the actor's type sort of takes over.
Right. You know? Because it's like the personality of them. Like I felt that with Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr. is his personality really like pops out on that, which fits the description of Tony Stark. But which by the way, I thought he was like one of the best casted characters in that whole series.
I think Marvel Studios agrees with you.
Well, it's based kind of him that kicked off the whole
reported paychecks.
Yeah, what'd they get up to?
Oh, I've read up on this before. I mean, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. I don't know, lots of
millions.
Robert Downey and Chris Evans in particular, and Scarlett Johansson.
Well, they had the most. Oh, interesting. Her.
Yeah.
Sex appeal, huh? Because she had the least. I mean.
And acting ability.
Iron Man.
Right.
Yeah, that too. She was great, but just thinking as far as standalone movies, I mean, the number that she was in compared to the others seems.
Right. Well, she never had her own standalone movie until now. It's about to come out, right? It's not out yet, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But they kill her first and then give her a standalone movie, so go figure.
By the way, disclaimer, I have not seen Captain Marvel in entirety.
Oh my God. Cut.
Yeah, lynch this man.
In its entirety, meaning you started watching it and then you weren't interested?
2 different occasions, and got to a point I'm like, it's not really grabbing me like the way some.
No, actually, I kind of feel the same way.
It was. But I have a sense of her type.
Yeah.
It was
all right.
Than most.
So speaking of type, we should probably talk about the Enneagram.
Why not?
So I don't know. Do we need to give any?
Probably would help.
So we're either assuming that if you're watching, you're a big fan of the Avengers and maybe know something about the Enneagram, or maybe don't, or you're a big fan of the Enneagram and maybe know something about the Avengers, or maybe don't. Yeah.
So you might know stuff, you might not know stuff, but you're here.
But let's roll with it. But in case you're not aware of the Enneagram, it's a system of personality typing. More people maybe have often heard of Myers-Briggs. This is another system that attempts to do some of the same things to understand similarities and differences in people's personality styles. So it can be helpful in our personal life. I'm a therapist. I use it a lot in my work with my clients. It can just be fun. I find it very useful in my relationships. And it's just fun to bring it to pop culture, to look at people like the Avengers and kind of speculate on what their type is and what that means about them, how they pay attention, what's important to them, what they give value to, what their triggers are likely to be, when are they most likely to sort of go into the mode of the habit of type.
This is the foundation of our bantering relationship, was nerding out on Enneagram. Like, I don't gossip, but I'll gossip about the Enneagram people's types. It's like what I do.
Right, because I don't think we're going to hurt the Black Widow's feelings since she doesn't exist.
Debatable.
Yeah?
I mean, I love her.
She's pretty strong. I don't think you're going to hurt her feelings. We could start out with the biggest Avenger characters and kind of go from...
Thank you, because you're going to be playing into my rustiness with this. So yes,
Okay.
let's do that.
By the way, we're going to, you'll see in the comments, we want you to comment, tell us when you agree with us, when you disagree with us. And by the way, we're not always going to agree on type ourselves. I could certainly be convinced on a few, because a few I think, well, they could be this, they could be that.
Wow, so a type 1 doesn't have it all figured out and is actually
It just got outed.
to impressions?
It just got outed.
This is a good day.
There's one who's named the first Avenger.
Well, that's got to be Mr. Rogers, right?
It is. It is Mr. Rogers.
Steve
Rogers.
Steven
yes.
Rogers.
Who has had, I think, 3 standalone movies. So there's been some time to flesh him out.
Mm-hmm.
I would say he's a type 2.
Ooh.
So already we're in the disagreement.
I said one with a 2 wing, but please
okay.
go on.
Actually, I think, my opinion, two with a 1 wing. He starts out during the war, and his main priority is taking part in the war, wanting to help out. Right. So 2 energy in my view.
Question.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. Are we talking about the character itself, or are we talking about the one portrayed in the movies?
We were talking about the one in the movies, because sometimes they're different in the comics. Is that what you mean?
Basically.
Yeah. Because I was a big fanatic in the comics when I was a kid, but that was a while ago. So I'm basing all of my typing on...
Okay, on the production. Okay, so your sense is that not just... Well, the way it's portrayed in the movies, too, with the 1 wing. Continue.
Well, so his main focus is helping. He wants to be part of the fight.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's for the good of the country. But also, you get to learn he has a strong sense of, in that case, World War II, our country was on the right side, which is where I see the 1 come in. So,
damn.
But do you disagree? Do you think 1 with the 2 wing?
It's interesting because if I look at the actor Chris Evans that plays it, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a 2 or a 3. In other words, he seems to be a hard type in general.
Yeah.
Like there's a softness in his energy and kind of like you could tell the man's a lover, for lack of a better term, and that energy really shines through on screen. As far as seems very approachable, very kind, very connection based, connection oriented.
Yeah, I would think type 3 in real life. I don't know, but I would think.
Right, probably with a 2 wing. So definitely pick up that 2 energy. My sense is the stereotype of just Captain America is that it's really around integrity. It's about goodness. It's about doing the thing that's inherently good for something. Yeah. The man is super strong with his convictions. I think about the first scene in the movie where he jumps on the grenade to save everyone. That's actually probably more of a very healthy 2 as far as really being willing to take one for the team.
Get away! Get back!
But yeah, I'm kind of not attached to the 1 now that you say it.
Certainly got the 1 in there because I'm actually thinking about Avengers: Age of Ultron in the opening scene, which was, by the way, way too CGI. I don't know if you remember it, but it was a big fight scene.
That's kind of where they're showing off, like, oh, we're the badass Avengers, and we're winning and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's this a line where Tony Stark says,
Shit! Language. Jarvis, what's the view from upstairs?
Wait a second. No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language?
I know.
That's a 1 thing, right?
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So I see the 1 wing in him. And a social subtype, by the way. I think, because,
You're taking this to a whole other level of preparation then.
Too far of a level?
Yeah, I was looking for and that's the other thing too, is these people are all really healthy. I mean, we're talking
well, most, but there's a few that actually, that we'll get to that.
Fair enough. Yeah, that was a sweeping statement. But as far as Captain America, they're kind of expressing him as he's a pretty not flawed thing. Yes, they poke fun at his you swear words, but
no, he's the best one.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there isn't like they're not overindulging the type and having them be truly fixated by their passions of their own
Yeah,
individual.
some are more flawed than others. He's
sure.
not one of the more flawed ones.
Like the last thing I'll say about him is that the energy of him and how it's portrayed on screen, I do agree there's a lot of the two-ish energy, but to me, Captain America represents a one.
Uh-huh. I
Sense
think
of
maybe I
ideals.
wouldn't be surprised if the character started out as a one, in the comics.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we'll ask our viewers. You tell us if you think he's a 2 with a 1 wing or a 1 with a 2 wing or something else entirely.
But you're wrong.
Yeah, you'd be wrong if you don't agree with
See, I was channeling
one of
my
us.
righteous oneness. Oh,
Yeah.
it's in there.
All right. So then there's Tony Stark,
Mm-hmm.
who actually, even though Captain America is kind of often considered the first Avenger or like the center of the Avengers, Robert Downey is really,
We really owe the fact that there was like 38 movies to the fact that Robert Downey
Yeah.
Jr. was in it.
right. I would say so. Yeah. And he's been well compensated for that, I think.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going 7 with an 8 wing on this guy.
Oh, 8 wing. See, I'm with you on 7.
Oh.
8 wing. Tell me about it.
Where I honestly derive that from is his bantering with Captain America and
Uh-huh.
how he has this real anger, like don't fuck with me.
Uh-huh.
Seems like you walked away all right.
Is that a problem?
I don't trust a guy without a dark side. Call me old-fashioned.
There's a willingness to jump in with confrontation and
Uh-huh.
do what he feels compelled to do.
Yeah.
So the charge and the power of that energy is definitely palpable for me.
8-ish. And I get your point, and for me that draws the question distinction between 8 and counterphobic 6. So I guess that's what when I see that kind of energy from him, that's
Right.
how I make sense of it. Counterphobic 6, like there's something here that's dangerous, and I'm going to go headfirst into it.
Mm-hmm.
I could certainly be wrong though. He is very outspoken.
Hugely doesn't mind ruffling feathers. In fact,
Yeah.
he messes with people a lot.
A lot.
And in fact, that's like a big part of his charm is the fact that he's always like the scenes with Spider-Man in particular.
Uh-huh.
He's kind of pestering him or pinging him, kind of like an older brother does. But there's also the sense of wanting to take care of, and people that can't take care of themselves, I will make sure to step in
Right,
and take care
for
of
the
them.
underdog thing.
Which is kind of an Enneagram type 8 energy. There's also, one might even say that there's like a 6 sense of community in that, but I get more of the, like, I'll bulldoze in there and take care of business if I need to.
Yeah. I actually, they make it clear that he cares about people who are disempowered.
Totally.
So kids or Spider-Man because he's inexperienced. And again, it brings the question of, is that an 8 sort of protect the people within my circle, or I'm very attuned to the underdog, which is the 6th thing.
I love how nuanced this is. We don't know what's going on inside his head, but that would help.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what's going on inside any of their heads, especially because they don't really have any heads. They're just characters.
No, basically. Or it's a CGI head.
We
That's
take
another
we take
issue
what they
too.
give us. So.
Right.
But so we didn't really sort of flesh out just why we both landed on
I was like
7.
instantly 7 because
The wing was the problem, but
I have heard people throw out 3, and I'm like, as a 3,
No,
I'm like, nah,
no.
that ain't him.
yeah, he's a 3. He knows. Take his word for it.
That's what's up.
But 7 because for me it's all about no limitations.
Totally.
Don't put any. It's actually going to really geek out on you here.
Perfect.
One of his creations is Ultron, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the famous line from Ultron is "No strings on me." What?
Did you just sing that? Did he
I
sing
said
that?
it. I said it like James Spader said it.
So good.
It was so good.
Spader.
I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me.
That kind of reflects Tony Stark. No strings on me. Don't put. If you tell me not to do something,
Oh yeah, like
screw you.
good
Yeah.
luck, man.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of the 8 energy that I would detect too. Is like if you tell me you can't have something, like I will prove you wrong and show you that I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the visionary, the creativity, the outside the box thinking,
Right.
the fact like even in the end game when he's you can really see that of wanting to avoid pain and discomfort. Even talking about like how the theme in the last movie was about. He's like, just don't take these things away from me. Like, the only things that I care about, make sure that part doesn't leave me, which was the best foreshadowing ever. I saw that. I'm like, oh, he's dying.
Yeah.
It's just so obvious. But it just represents what the seven is struggling with and how, like, I'm starved for other examples, but he's always avoiding the pain.
Yeah, I mean, even like, especially in his standalone movies, Gwyneth Paltrow has a much bigger role as first as his assistant, but then eventually as his business partner and and love partner.
Right.
And we see how he handles that. He's not so good with being mushy, right?
Totally.
Yeah, it's the jokes but you see he really cares. While we're on the topic, Gwyneth Paltrow, I'm thinking, is a 2, who can much more easily go there with him and be the heart of that relationship.
I'm thinking of proof that Tony Stark does have a heart. How
We're really
Potts
geeking out here. We're really geeking out.
Yes. What's funny is about Pepper Potts, I can't say I've seen those Iron Mans enough recently to do it. So I'm just gonna agree with you on that one because I have no counterpoints to it.
I think 2 with 3 wing, but I could be wrong.
I was gonna say I feel like she has some 3 energy in general in real life.
Sure, yeah, she could very well be a 3 in real life, but she's much more heart based and like I'm always thinking when I'm trying to understand somebody's type or my own, is thinking about what values are sort of in operation in any moment and what's the more important value, what's the priority. So with Pepper, for instance. There's her relationship with Tony, heart 2,
right.
And then there's being successful because she's quite competent, and she takes over his company.
Do 2s have a success gene in them?
Oh, we all have a success gene.
Right.
But 3, it's a little more attention, I would think. 2,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, to getting things done, being efficient,
handling business.
Yeah, which I see in her, but she's always got. It's not like. And the relationship is besides the point, or my feelings are besides the point. For her, they're always right there, in my view.
Yeah, I think about how she also. I noticed some 1 energy too about listening or talking about what's right and what's for the greater good. That seems to be a thing that she's present to as well. But
I consider that, and then I thought I don't see enough. Like if again competing values. If it's I want Tony to be safe versus I want him to do the right thing. I want Tony to be safe.
Totally.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I'll roll with you on that one. I got
All
no
right.
pushback.
Tell us
it's
what you
no
think.
fun.
So, obviously the number 3 Avenger is. I'm going to let you fill in the blank and see if you're right or wrong.
Way to throw in the right wrong at the end.
He would have had to.
He
or she would have had to make the picture.
So I'm not looking. What's funny is I wasn't clear about like a clear type 3. I don't know if you're going with.
Oh, I don't mean type 3. I just meant like the third Avenger.
So it's probably Thor is what you're going with.
There you go.
See, it's so obvious.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, and I say that because I'm going to geek out again. The original Avengers. There's
the movies,
like
right?
No, even in the comics, it started out with Iron Man. Not even Captain America. He didn't come until issue number 4.
Oh, snap.
Iron Man, Hulk, Thor.
We're just skipping right over Hulk, who gets 2 personality types.
We get at least right. No, 3.
Oh snap! Oh, that's right. The hybrid.
Yes, exactly. See, we're on the same page. We are like this. Yeah. All right, but Thor. So let's see. I'll offer. This is one of those characters that I think has changed from movie to movie.
Hugely. And so I got to say that the tipping point for me was in Ragnarok. Different director was actually what was the rock guy in the movie?
I don't know the name, but I know the
That's the guy that's the director. He's actually a comic from New Zealand.
So he looks like that in real life? Wow.
He's even
rockier?
equally as sexy.
Wow.
But there's a movie, What We Do in the Shadows, something like that. It's a mockumentary of vampires living together. Anyways, amazing. Go see it. But I love his humor, and his humor shines throughout. And he really took advantage of that with Thor's character because he became kind of aloof, goofy, kind of more of a bro in the sense of...
In other words, a type...
That's fun. I went with 7 with an 8 wing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he starts out like in the first Thor movie as a clear 8. He's a warrior.
This drink, I like it.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Sorry, Izzy, little accident.
What was that?
It was delicious. I want another.
Well, you could have just said so.
I just did.
No,
Like he just like he seems really strong and matter of fact in his convictions and purpose, and then once he loses and gets humbled seemingly for the first time, there's like a crashing of his ego that happens in Endgame where you start to feel sorry for the guy.
Well, yeah, I mean he has a severe decline. You know, we haven't even talked much about what could be termed as level of health or level of freedom from type or ability to choose. Am I going to act out of type or not in this moment?
Right.
But he had a real downfall, for a while. But so I think we both agree that he starts out in the movies as an 8 with a 7 wing, and then at least at points shifts over to a 7 with an 8 wing.
A little bit. You kind of feel that. I feel that playful energy, that adventure energy, that
enjoy life. Even the downfall is it's all about beer and video games, and totally. I don't want to worry about anything. So low side of 7.
Right. But there's a carefree energy to him that starts to show up more and more. Like at first you think, wow, he's really kind of serious and intense and wants to take over the throne, and later you're like, I don't know if he cares about that.
Well, yeah, and in the end he gave up the throne.
Right, totally.
To
Loki. Well, hold on. Let me.
At the end of Endgame, we're quizzing now.
Oh snap!
To Valkyrie.
Oh, the Valk.
Yeah, who I would think is 8-ish too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they don't really flesh her out much.
But in Ragnarok is probably the best insight to her, and she's got that kind of no BS. I will take what I want kind of energy to her, and you can't mess with me.
Yeah.
Which is pretty.
Also, the first openly gay character in the Avengers universe. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a scene where a woman is walking out of her bedroom.
Say that's what's up. I don't know why that makes me happy.
It makes me happy. I don't even go for that kind of thing. Okay, so.
So yeah, I would agree 8. As far as wing.
I guess if I had to think about it, I would think 9. She's not particularly fun.
No, I would agree with that.
Yeah, a little more into just being calm.
Right, you can kind of see her with the stoic, the kind of I can disappear if I want to and check out, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
More zen.
All right, so then we have the Hulk.
Oh, snap, yeah. So let's go with Bruce Banner first. I'm going to 9 here.
Well, we have to explain. Oh my God! Wow. Well, we have to explain. That in real life, generally, it's considered people have a single type.
Yes.
But the Hulk is one of those characters where he basically has 2 different personalities.
He has got depth.
Yeah. So, as Bruce Banner, you're saying 9.
I went with 9. I have a hunch you might go 5 based on that wonderful reaction there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more about
I could see.
It's actually the denial of anger. It's the being completely disassociated and disconnected from his anger, actually terrified of his anger, wanting to suppress that, find ways to zen out and actually repress it.
Mm-hmm. Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
You can actually see that as a 5 trying to leverage 9 tendencies so as to avoid 8.
Wow,
that's just
we need diagrams.
But you see what I mean? Like there's definitely like a 9 energy that, because I mean he's got this stoic, calm, like let's chill demeanor, which represents kind of the 9 energy. He is a scientist by nature, which stereotypically is a 5.
Yeah. So I can see your point. I think one thing I always consider type in real life and in movies is sort of there's a good word for it, where there's confounding factors. So here's a man who's, before he ever became the Hulk, was a scientist, seemed to be very heady, probably not particularly good with relationships. We see a little bit of that when he starts getting close with Natasha.
Mm-hmm. Even the Eric Bana character, I wouldn't say was exactly skillful with the ladies.
Yeah. And I think I'm probably channeling a little bit of old comic books too, where I think he was even more so clearly a 5. But so you take a 5 and then fill them with gamma rays, and then they have this Hulk to deal with, then they're going to have an issue with anger, even if they are just a 5. But I get your point that he's a little 9-ish.
Well, Ruffalo has a 9 energy to him in general, which makes him, I think, so perfect for romantic comedies, because he's a very people feel typically safe in his presence. Like there's kind of a approachable element to him.
He's an everyman. He's an everyman.
A handsome
like
everyman.
Jimmy Stewart, who I think was probably a 9 too. Yeah, 9s do well in Hollywood. Yeah,
they kind of do.
Yeah, but okay, so then we kind of hit on it. But when he hulks out, that is 8. But wing.
Wow, it's funny. Like, does Hulk have a wing?
Oh, sure he has a wing. But I'm not convinced on it. No, I'm not convinced on it. But I would think 9. Because he just wants to be left alone. He wants to be at one. He wants to be out in the desert with nobody else around when he's the Hulk.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Ragnarok when he's stuck in Hulk form, but he's decidedly Hulk and not Bruce Banner. There is kind of a I just want to be alone quality to him.
Yeah.
He was the first Hulk with chest hair, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Wow, you had something to do with that, huh?
Yeah. My fan letters. I'm like, we need some more realism.
Give him chest hair.
Give him chest hair. For us chest hair folks.
All right.
We need to be well represented. Okay.
The Hulk hybrid.
Oh, that's true.
In Endgame. So
see, to me, he seems more like a 5.
In the hybrid. So just to recap, so Bruce Banner we think is 9 or 5.
9-5.
We both agree Hulk 8, but then in the final movie, in Endgame, there is a hybrid who is very distinct from either Bruce Banner or the Hulk. And you have the idea.
Oh no, to be honest, I hadn't even thought about that character. I just threw out 5.
Well, we have time. Do you want to think about it now?
You talk, I think.
I have put some thought into this, but I'm by no means convinced. But he seemed very 7-ish to me. I'm thinking of the scene where they're all at the diner with
That's where I'm going. We're taking the picture.
Taking the picture,
yeah.
Right. Come on, take a picture, and even though Ant-Man's feeling like, oh, they don't want my picture, and I want the attention off me now, the Hulk keeps going because, come on,
yeah, have some fun.
Yeah, have some fun. So that's what made me think 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Let's go with that.
I'll go with that.
Green. Did you get that? That's good.
Do you want to grab one with me? I'm Ant-Man. They're Hulk fans.
Wait,
they don't know Ant-Man.
Oh, he
nobody
feels bad.
does. Nobody does.
No, he wants you.
I don't want
wants to take a picture with them.
Yeah, look, he's even saying no, he doesn't. I get
come
it.
on, the kid.
I don't want it
but,
either.
But you,
I don't want a picture with them.
But he's gonna feel bad.
Sorry.
They're happy to. They said
I
they'll
don't
do
want
it.
to. No, I don't want
No, you feel bad.
Take the goddamn phone.
Okay.
My sense was just he's a healthier type at that point. He's not so fixated by type.
Yeah. Although he was a little, he was not picking up on that he's making somebody else that he cares about uncomfortable.
Right. No, true that.
Yeah.
There's kind of a, like even the scene where he starts the time travel thing is like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But just playing with it, having, like, there's kind of a...
Like, we'll see what happens.
There's like a lightheartedness, whatever, to it. It's not the intense, cerebral,
Yeah. And they were getting a little bit more into the comic element too, so got a little more leeway there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Time travel. What? I see this as an absolute win.
The other first Avenger among the group is
Black Widow.
Black Widow. Yeah.
I'm not convinced on mine, but I went with 6. And what's weird about this one is I have less legitimate evidence. So...
It's her story, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's kind of a... So one thing I truly believe is that 6s make the best spies.
Is that right?
Is that like a thing? I don't know if that's a thing, but...
Sounds good.
I have actually... Well, I know a spy, retired spy.
Really? Wow. We're breaking
Declassified
news.
spy. But definitely a type 6. But I think there's kind of an unassuming nature about him in general. Like, they're really good at playing the guy or girl next door vibe, the unassuming,
I've
likable.
seen The Americans. I know.
Typically, I haven't actually. Typically very quick-witted, very sharp, mind-going, like an ability to actually track multiple conversations simultaneously. Skeptical by nature, willing to look past the image and facade. And
always asking what could go wrong, so let me be prepared for it.
Totally. And so, like, I think her character leverages that skill set. She doesn't come across as particularly anxious.
Yeah.
But definitely very... Like the whole argument that she gets in the not Endgame but the one right before that,
Infinity War.
When they're like fighting to see who jumps off a cliff, or maybe that was Endgame.
That was Infinity.
No, that was Endgame because that was the very last.
Oh, you're
one.
right. You're right.
Anytime he says you're right, I'm just like part of me. An angel gives birth or gets its wings or something.
Wow.
Gives birth. That's
Gives
the
birth? That's like a,
We'll go
there's
with
a name for that.
So, I mean, her energy to me just represents, like, she has a lot of the gifts that I think are inherent in sixes.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not so much that I see it acted out in her, because I do feel like they haven't really given us much internal, they haven't allowed us into her,
Right.
what's really.
But she is super good at sniffing shit out. And that, I
Yeah,
think, is a gift of a six.
Yeah.
Like, I've dated some sixes, and their ability to find out what's really going on can be creepy. Not that I had that experience.
That will
but
be in
it's
our next video. We'll do an in-depth
probably
interview on that
probably
topic.
not.
But what I know of her story so far, and I think what they're really going to flesh out in her standalone movie is, she grew up in Russia. She was treated as an asset almost immediately. I think it's fair to say that her character would have thought the world is a dangerous place, and I need to figure out
sure.
how to survive in this world. So she's a survivor.
Very dutiful as well. That
Dutiful. That's right.
one. Loyal.
Yeah.
Got all
Although
the
I would say
characteristics.
a self-pres. I know we're not hitting on that strongly, right?
Deep.
But I need to survive myself. I think her character has grown enough where she allows she there's strong loyalties between certain especially her and Hawkeye and her and all the Avengers to some degree. But her character starts out like I'm here in it for me, and then she grows from there.
Skepticism, and that's what I love about sixes. Like they're typically met with the skepticism, like who are you? But once you're in, you're in, and that's the like I think about the Winter Soldier was where she was introduced, right?
Yes.
Or at least one of the early
Yes.
moments. But her and Captain
Yes.
America kind of have that like feeling out process, and there's clearly like a wall that's up with her, and then something turns, and then it's like they're homies for life.
Yeah. So once you're in, you're in. But we got to correct the record because I just realized she appeared in Iron Man 2. Actually had a great role in that. But you got to see her kind of how she's starting out. She's starting out as like an agent, who really knows her shit, and don't fuck with her,
Fucking A. I just had to throw one in there. You
Bleep,
were
bleep,
cussing.
bleep,
It
bleep.
sounded really fun.
Yeah.
So okay, wing. Oh gosh.
Wing. Not A7 wing. Not that's
So we're
sometimes
going
that's how my mind
powers of
works.
deduction.
Is
Yeah, I was
not
vibing
not
that as well.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Five
playful
what.
energy just doesn't exactly ooze out of her.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I think she is a real observer of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's what makes me lean.
Goes deep, yeah.
And more more inward looking as far as connection than going out of her way as a seven might to interact with others in the environment
Yeah,
for.
not the one you'd want to have to throw you a birthday party.
Yeah, she would not be a good party planner.
No, for sure. Which is my metric for gauging all sevens.
Actually, that should be our metric for gauging all the Avengers. Which ones would be good party planners? And
Let's start with Tony Stark.
he would be a good party planner. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Thor,
Are you
not so bad.
Thor? Yeah. Well, he would be a good partier.
He would.
Yeah.
But I imagine there'd be fun shit going on, like fireworks would be happening, like it'd be kind of a shit show.
When you get all the Asgards involved, you never know what's gonna happen.
This is true. Pepper Potts, just because she seems like she has stuff handled.
Yeah. Right.
This is a weird path we are going down here.
I don't think we have to continue the party planning too much more.
Probably not.
We have not yet, in my view, this differs from your view, we have not yet named a one. In my view, I know.
Yeah.
I know you named potentially
Or a 3 for that.
Captain
matter.
America, right? Or a 3. We got to talk about types that we relate to, right?
Yes.
But
Selfish needs must be met.
as we were preparing for this conversation, I was thinking, since I'm one, what ones are in Avengers? Because I hadn't really thought about
Captain America.
Yeah, maybe Captain America. Although I think we're going to expand the universe out a little bit to characters who did appear in the Avengers movies, but in the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, snap.
What's her name now? The Green Woman.
Yeah, the Green Woman.
One with a 2
attractive
wing.
Green Woman.
I think one with a 2 wing. She interacts with Star-Lord, who I would say is clearly a 7. I would say, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For
So
shizzle.
all throughout Western culture, you'll see pairings of 1s and 7s for comic effect. And I think that this is one of them where, he's all, let's have a good time and screw the rules.
And they're not at the most optimal health levels. I
Right,
think it's fair
but
to
they're
say.
both attractive, and so they make it work.
So we like watching that, and we
So
like
we
drama. We wouldn't
Yeah.
like all healthy types. It'd be a little
Right, and it's actually a take on Sam and Diane. You know Sam and Diane? You're a little young. Cheers.
Thank you.
That was the most popular comedy on TV for a long time.
Thanks for that level of description. I do know of Cheers because when Cheers would come on, I would turn off.
Oh wow,
That and MASH.
That's
that
sad. That's sad.
That probably is.
Diane was a 1, Sam was a 7, and it's always the comic effect.
Ted Danson is Sam.
Yes, right.
Woody Harrelson's a 9.
Yeah,
Just because he's a 9.
but we're not talking about Cheers overly right
See
now,
what I
right?
did there?
We're just all over the board. Let's talk about ancient Greek personalities.
Agreed.
Who is the character up against Star-Lord? What is her name? Her name is Gamora.
I was thinking
Gamora.
of hot green chick, but
That could get confused with Star Trek. So,
fair enough.
but Gamora.
Fair enough.
Gamora. So I would say one with the 2 wing.
That's a pretty solid guess.
Yeah, no challenge there.
No.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
you
be
heard
very
it. You
unpushy
heard
on
it.
this
No,
one.
no challenge.
Yeah, because she represents like the not as healthy one where there's kind of a stick up her butt. Where
Excuse me?
Who put the sticks up their butts?
What? No, that's just
That is cruel.
a phrase people use.
There are other ones out there who might object to.
Unhealthy.
Not me. I think it's just
unhealthy
fine.
types.
But other ones might think that that's unfair.
Just are we talking about fairness? I didn't realize we
Yeah.
got to that part of the conversation.
Oh, always.
But just kind of like there's like an appropriate way it needs to be. There isn't a lot of play and fun about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of in that like.
Well, he draws that part out of her. I wouldn't think of her as unhealthy. I think she's very high integrity, principled. She's always calling the group to do the right thing.
Yeah, maybe there's just like stiff.
There's a
Maybe
stiffness to it.
that's what I'm talking about.
Her character might even agree with that because you see Star-Lord sort of draw that part out of her. The fun. Like there's a scene in one of the Guardian movies where he's trying to get her to dance and she won't dance.
Right.
Well, in the end, she's dancing. So
Well, that 1 in
softens up
7
there.
connection, we could talk about that all day, but
Yeah.
match made in heaven
Yeah.
right there.
So there's a 1.
The only other one that I can think of might be War Machine. I was a little struggling on that one.
Yeah. War
He's got
Machine.
some of that.
War Machine and Falcon, I think, are both not quite fleshed out enough for me to get a clear read on
Are they
them.
making a Falcon movie?
They are not. They're making a series. Falcon and Winter Soldier are making a series together on Disney
Cute.
Plus. Yeah, which I'm looking forward to.
That's what's up.
So maybe we'll learn what type they are there.
Yeah. Oh, a 3. Going out on a limb here. I went with Nebula.
Ooh, Nebula, a 3.
Call that a curveball.
Curveball, yeah. So Nebula is Gamora's sister. I think 4.
Okay.
Yeah. There's always a sense of I don't belong. There's something missing. I don't belong. I want to belong, and that's her fight. I mean, mostly related to her father and her sister.
Right. So my take on that is that most 4s, at least to my understanding, don't really care with fitting in or being a part of it, whereas 3s are all about I want dad or mom's approval, and I want to do anything and everything that I can.
Yeah.
This is in the more fixated space. And the whole time she is consumed with getting her father's love and attention.
That's true. That's true.
And so there's a heightened caring about what her dad thinks of her, which is kind of a caricature of what the Enneagram Type 3 is all about. It's like, I want to be loved and valued in the eyes of the person that I care
Yeah,
about.
that most important person, right? I can see that.
Whereas 4s kind of, to me, are like, I'm my own person. I give 0 fucks. And
Well,
even though they might secretly, the facade is
that's what I was going to say. That that on the it's harder to admit I give a fuck if I'm caught up in 4 stuff, but with I'm forgetting her name already. Tell me her name again.
Nebula?
Nebula.
I'm so
Part
proud
of
of
her character. Yeah, very good.
for having one that like you didn't know. That's a win.
Part of her character is that she is different than everyone else. That she's like there's a scene where she says I wasn't always like this. And so so that sort of took my attention to 4, but I think
As a 3, listen to this guy.
he may very well be right.
Yeah, and it comes simply, literally because of the relationship with her father and how, like,
Yeah.
when I look at her, there's just this "please love me, Dad"
Yeah,
thing
no,
that like
clearly,
drives her
clearly.
entire
Right.
character.
Yeah.
And is at the heart of everything that she is, does.
You're winning me
becomes,
over. I think you might be right. And just speaking of her dad, 8.
Yeah, he's a dick. Not that 8s are jerks.
This
but
guy, I got to do some editing.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
but he represents kind of the. Well, it's really just about his values that makes him a dick. It's not the 8ness. It's just the fact that he believes we need to eliminate half of the universe in order for things to be thriving.
And he has an idea of what needs to happen, and my way is the right way, and so he is what we would call an unhealthy 8 or somebody fixated, very much in their type. There's something that prevents them from thinking, is this such a good idea?
Yeah, and there's the stubborn. Like I always think of the 891 as the "don't mess with me" triad. Like there's clearly a "don't mess with that guy," and he knows what it is, and his way of asserting his dominance is literally through asserting his dominance out there in the world.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt to have the gems, What do you call
and
them?
also just be a badass.
Infinity
he
gems.
Kicked the Hulk's butt even without it.
Yeah,
that's pretty legit.
Right, which actually was a really interesting scene of 8 against 8.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens to an 8 if they're in fixation, if they've been defeated in some way. And Hulk just totally sort of...
It was like being emasculated.
Yeah, yeah. And so for the rest of the movie, he refused to come out. Mm-hmm. The Hulk refused to come out. Ant-Man, 7. I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
I went with
7,
6, but I have no... Only because Paul Rudd to me is a walking, talking 6.
So the movie, there's 2 Ant-Man movies, and so they get some time to flesh him out. And they start him out as an ex-con who's trying to win back his daughter.
That's funny, I forgot all that.
Yeah. And so, basically, he was considered to be irresponsible. So fixated 7, who got into a lot of trouble and then paid the consequences for it. And so he's trying to become a healthier 7, in my view, by being responsible and keeping his appointments and treating his daughter well and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I would think 6 Wing. He doesn't seem to be particularly fear-based. Like the world is a dangerous place. That I would think of more in line with 6.
To me, it would be like a healthy 6. See, to me, it's just his his 6 way of being, which shines through in his humor to me.
Yeah.
Like the nimbleness of his mind.
Welcome to Baskin Robbins. Would you like to try our mango fruit blast? No thanks. I'll have a burger, please. Oh, we don't make that.
Pretzel, hot pretzel, like mustard. You have mustard dip?
It's ice cream. Baskin Robbins.
I'll just do like whatever's hot and fresh.
David.
Can I see you in the back, Chief? Pronto.
Sure thing, Dale. Darby, could you just take care of this idiot? Thanks.
To me, 7s have more of a expansive energy and more I won't say in your face, but there's a real powerful presence. It's a palpable presence. Like that Tony Stark really has. You walk into a room and they're very good at energetically taking up space or having their energy be out there in the room. I don't get the sense so much with him. There's a reserved wittiness. Once again, guy next door kind of vibe. To me, Paul Rudd in real life is a 6.
It may very well be, yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't seen the Ant-Mans in a while, so I'm kind of going off what I saw in the Avengers Endgame.
All right, so we're either 6 with 7 Wing or 7 with 6 Wing?
I think we can definitely land on he's a head type of some sort.
Well, he's not 5.
Right? Clearly not a 5. You are the resident 5 expert in this group.
Yeah?
It's probably the one I'm most... Yeah, we talked about that. That's the one I'm probably most inherently disconnected from.
Okay. One of my best friends for a long time was a 5, so I learned a lot.
Right,
yeah.
Next up, I have Black Panther.
Well, for me, he's one of those characters that hasn't been fleshed out a lot. We don't get inside access to him.
Right. It's very regal the way that he's portrayed. Just very, self-sacrificing. To me, there's some 9 energy and some 6 energy to that guy.
Interesting. I guess I'm by no means convinced that I know his type, but I've thought 3. Healthy 3, but social. That it's all about serving his country. But
for a tri-type perspective, I could totally see a 369. As far as he embodies a lot of those elements of health. What's the movie where he goes on? He wants to go on his revenge tour and kill the Winter Soldier.
With the Winter,
That is the Winter
Captain
Soldier?
America, Winter Soldier, yes, which is not nine-ish, right?
No.
Right. And it was for the honor of father,
right.
country.
But just his energy as a person comes across as very nine-ish to me. I don't know if Black Panther's character it would be a 9. To me, that's one where, like, there's just a tranquility to him, a serenity, like things are better in a peaceful space. Well, like, we keep what we have hidden because we don't want to create conflict out there in the world. When there is conflict, we want to squash it. But that was like in a revenge tour experience that he was having in that one.
Although it makes me, because even whole cultures or whole countries can be considered to have a dominant type, and you make me wonder if maybe Wakanda might be a 9 culture.
For sure.
Yeah, we just want to be left alone. We don't want any trouble.
Right.
Yeah. But one way I think about 9 energy is when a 9 is posed with an important decision. I don't get the idea that he has difficulty saying, okay, no, this is what I need to do, or this is what I need to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, to me, there's a 6 energy to him as far as the community. I mean, you also said social, so the social instinct could push that over. In fact, I could see the 3-ness, a very healthy 3. Like, you don't get much of a sense of that guy's ego-driven, which is why I instantly go to 6 as opposed to 3, because at least for me, when I see 3s, I'm also very present to, oh, there's your ego just chilling right there. And so I don't pick up the 3 energy from him as an actor, but
I think you're hitting an important point is what we might consider a level of health or level of fixation, because a type can look very different. A person can look very different based whether they're in quite a fixated place or not.
Right.
And yeah, I would say he's one of the most presented as one of the most healthy characters.
For sure.
Yeah.
Very distinguished. And like, I could see 9 with an 8 wing as far as, because he does have that butt kick inside that wants to come out. Especially in the Winter Soldier. But even in his standalone movie, there's just a real sweetness to that guy. And I don't know if that's just him, the actor, as a man shining through, or if it's what the character represents. But yeah, he's kind of on that 3-6-9 triad of some sort.
We'll put him there.
There he goes.
So
Strange.
Doctor Strange. He's one of my favorite characters. Actually, he was probably my favorite character when I read comics.
Ah, no kidding. What was it about?
Because the magic thing was very cool to a kid. But also, obviously a real influence of Eastern philosophy. So that always interested me. And he headed the Defenders. Any of you geeks out there would know that. So that was his main team. It started in the early 70s.
You just called members of our audience geeks, by the way.
I said the geeks out there would know that. Not all of you are geeks, but you should be. You should all be geeks. Come on, you're geeking out right now.
That
right?
pointing is a little aggressive.
I'm sorry. I won't do that.
Yeah, no more pointing.
All right, so Doctor Strange's type.
I went with 5.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Quick evidence.
But I have some other thoughts.
Oh, yes. It's just this inherent search for knowledge, understanding, wanting to fully understand stuff. He has, there's a big part of his ego in the first part. In other words, there's kind of a narcissistic energy to him, like a 4 with the 5 wing I could also see. But as far as being a cerebral, seeking mastery and understanding, I mean, kind of a 5-ish. But what you got?
That's my experience of his character from the comics, very 5-ish, and I think that the whole culture of the mystics that he's involved with in both the comics and in the movies, very 5-ish. I would think based on Buddhism.
Yeah, it's got
which is often considered to be a 5 culture, but especially if you've seen the standalone movie, he starts out as a successful surgeon, and it's all in very high ego, fixated.
Kind of got a 3 energy at the beginning.
That's where I started with him.
You didn't have to humiliate him in front of everyone.
I didn't have to save his patient either, but I sometimes just can't help myself.
Nick is a great doctor.
You came to me.
Yeah, well, I needed a second opinion.
You had a second opinion. What you needed was a competent one.
Well,
he might be one of these characters where he just shifts type, as the movies go along. But he still shows a little bit of that in Infinity War when he first meets Tony Stark and they're in his sanctum and Tony touches something mystical, and the guy and Doctor Strange slaps him. And
Are you seriously leaning on the cauldron of the cosmos?
I'm going to allow that. What is your job exactly besides making balloon animals?
Protecting your reality, douchebag.
This is not something the Doctor Strange I know from the comics would say. You're a douchebag. But it made me think, it was a callback to sort of him as the successful surgeon who was better than everyone else, which made me think of a 3 with a 4 wing, but...
Those are my people.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kind of shifting over time because he again, it's confounded by the fact that he's also getting healthier. He's way healthier by the end of the movies than when he started out in the first movie.
Yeah, because I can see a case for 3, 4, or 5 based on where he's at. But to me, that who he is and what he represents is kind of a 5-ish concept.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Benedict Cumberbatch might be a 4 in real life.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I don't know if that's believed over.
No clue.
Did you ever watch Sherlock?
I haven't. No.
Sherlock's good. Add that to your Netflix queue.
All right.
All right, so Strange, we'll go with 5. I'm sorry, what is your final answer? 3?
My final answer was 3. Yes, with the 4 wing.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I'll take him.
And I would think self-pres too. And again, I'm thinking of when in his most fixated. It was very much focused on self.
Yes, hugely.
Yeah.
Which is what makes me think 4, in fact.
Could very well be. Give us your opinions. We want to know.
Set the record straight. All right, so Hawkeye. Ooh, I struggled with this one. Please, kick us off.
Well, I struggle with him too because I feel like he's one of those that they don't give us a lot of internal access. I think I'm a lot like Black Widow. Mm-hmm. So for that reason alone, I'm tempted to think he's a counterphobic 6. But you don't get a lot of like, what's important to you. I mean, you get to learn that his family is really important.
Which can be. So I have 2 or 6.
Yeah.
Both of which I would say that of all the types, family was probably most important with 2s and 6 for different reasons. Because when I go to the Leaden rule, which is you do unto others what you least want done unto you, and when he has the the Leaden rule is just basically that lower level of health. That's like health level 6
if you're
or
at
7.
a low level of health.
But the Leaden rule in general is just you do unto others what you least want done unto you. And it's typically indicative of type. We do that when we're in a really painful place. Like if you're in a horrendous fight with your significant other, the way we typically attack them is by doing the thing we want least done to us.
So you're learning about how Brian has
how
experienced...
fights will go with me, so you're welcome.
Be prepared.
Yeah. But when I think of when he kind of loses his shit and starts going around is, love is lost and he's like, I will make other people suffer.
Yeah.
There's kind of a...
Only bad people, though.
Only bad people.
In
but
his
there's kind
mind,
of a
bad people.
There's like a revenge to... motivated by love or lack of love is like
he can't kill Thanos who took his loved ones away. So he's going to do the next possible thing is kill other bad guys.
Right, and there's kind of a vengeance. Like there's just a passion that exists in him that feels more heart based than head based. Mm-hmm. So that was my lean towards the 2.
That makes sense.
But also he's like, hey guys, he kept his family and love life very private, but it was clearly super important to him.
Yeah.
Brought everyone to his compound when
they were in trouble.
Right. So there's kind of an inclusivity, I'll take care of you kind of thing going on.
Yeah, but they hint a lot at his background, which seemed to be very similar to that of the Black Widow.
For sure.
Spies and always got to watch your back, and we can trust each other, but we can't trust anybody else.
Right. Yeah. I was just wondering how they'd pull off a guy that just has a bow and arrow and shoots things all the time. Did a pretty good job with it.
Sure.
Like he actually seems like, he seems kind of tough and badass.
Yeah.
The Endgame really helped with the mohawk and his sword. I will say that.
Got more badass.
He did. He increased his badassery. Mm-hmm. So okay, so you going with 6 on that guy?
I'm going tentatively with 6. Yes.
I love the confidence. I will, with 6% more confidence than that, go with 2 because I'm a confident man.
So, and to be fair to us, it's true that some characters are just more fleshed out than others. Yeah,
totally. Fair to us. That's awesome.
Yeah,
we want to get this right. Damn it. Yeah. Vision.
Vision.
To me, this one's more obvious.
Well, I'm thinking 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big whopping 5.
Yeah, I mean, they throw this stereotype at you. I mean, he's born out of AI, from computers.
Totally objective.
Yeah. Although, when you see him fall in love with the Scarlet Witch, he gets more 4-ish, I would say.
He does?
Yeah. So there's, at the start of Infinity War, when they're first seen together, or really, I guess it's really the second scene, when you got to see him opening up emotionally to her. They're standing on the street in Belgium or something.
Right.
And he gets quite emotional.
Oh yeah, I was like, what happened to that guy?
Yeah, so I'm thinking that he started out as a 5 with a 4 wing, and at least was in his 4 wing, if not becoming a 4.
He was 4'd out a little bit.
He was 4'd out.
But I would say 5'2" with the objective, knowledgeable, seeks understanding, taking a very objective approach of everything, especially when he's introduced.
Yeah.
So just putting a little bit more color in there, but he really does embody, at least initially, the stereotype of the detached 5 observer.
Right. Yeah, he's one of those more complicated characters like the Hulk, because he is becoming more human as the movies go on. So that might entail changing type.
I think Black Witch is a 4, or Scarlet Witch is a 4.
Yeah,
but almost more so just from her energy and facade, and there's like an emo vibe going on with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she. I think it's fair to say that her character in the comics was clearly 4, and just the idea of witches or Wiccanism. I generally think of as a 4 culture, and a little bit of the way they dress her up.
Yo, totally. Like,
makes me think of
image
4.
of, like, she just embodies what a 4 is. Even like there's kind of this, I don't know if I'd say sadness around her. Yes, she lost her brother, but there seems to be a
depth,
darkness.
Yeah, a darkness. Yeah, right. And so
like 4 with a 5 wing is how I'd roll with her.
Yeah, we agree.
Weird.
Wow.
I don't like it. Ultron.
I was confused by Ultron. I see 8-ness in there. I see 4-ness in there, but I don't have any clear.
Yeah, my lean's for 4. Just a complete narcissist. Unhealthy 4.
Yeah.
But
we kind of put in these caveats.
Can we just assume that yes, we're talking about the whole spectrum of a certain type, but to me, there's kind of the self-righteousness, the narcissism, the really just concerned about him.
Yeah, and I mean, so I always try to get in the head of even somebody who I might think is sort of in fixation, but for him, he just, the thinking is, I know better, I know best, and I know what has to happen here. And by the way, if something's causing me pain, that instantly is the wrong thing. So so like you see him tear off the arm of
he's
a person who insulted him by suggesting he was like Tony Stark.
Because Thanos and him both have this righteous way of being, but to me, there's a sensitivity to Ultron and taking stuff personally, ripping off arms. Like, it has more of a heart-based energy to it. And that Thanos is pretty like, I don't care what you think.
Exactly.
I just know, like, there's a lions will not be concerned with the opinions of sheep kind of energy to Thanos, whereas Ultron is very he's emotionally enmeshed in what goes on with other people.
Yeah, he's very concerned about his image, right? Totally. Yeah. So when insulted, because he has power to do it, he squashes the.
He's randomly sensitive for a computer-generated thing.
So you learn something about AI. They're sensitive. Watch out. One day they will take over the world.
Randomly, in a sensitive way, of course.
Yeah. Spider-Man. So I think, and it's often been through most of the depictions I've seen of him. And I think of the current one with Tom Holland, I'm pretty sure 7. Do you have a different thought?
I was either 7 or 2.
2, yeah.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Definitely got the. Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a heart quality to that guy. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, he's very. He's certainly. And 7s can, like any other type, can be very feeling and have a heart, quality to them. It's kind of right in his name, though, for me. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's always quipping. He's up. It's always up. It's not snarky like, for instance, even Tony Stark, but not scarred by life yet. Sort of.
Yeah.
The world is a good place. But I don't know.
He's just got like a lovey energy to him, where it's like there's this bubbly love innocence to him that
definitely,
to me, feels more like a heart-based type than a head-based type.
All right. So I need to think about that. You tell us your opinions.
Think away.
Yeah.
Loki.
Okay, here's another one where we might disagree. I'm thinking again. I'm tempted again to think 4, but he is very much like Nebula, so we might have the same disagreement on this.
Oh no, I want a 4 on this one.
Oh, okay.
See, to me, he's not trying to please his dad. He's like, he kind of has it that he knows the best way to proceed forward and is more interested in his own. There's a strong self-interest going on. It's not about pleasing people. It's about being strategic to get what he wants and what he needs.
Yeah. I agree with all that, although I think I feel like they do make pretty clear, at least in the Thor movies, that one of his main drivers is not feeling as loved by Dad as Thor is. You know, Thor is the favored son. But that doesn't show up so much perhaps in the Avengers movies.
Well, I would definitely say 4 with a 3-wing because there is that inherent drive for that realization. But to me, it just seems like he's going about it in a more 4-ish way than a 3-ish way.
Yeah. But you remind me, I do see a lot of similarities between Loki and Nebula in this sort of storylines about seeking Dad's love and willing to do a lot of destruction to get it, or in spite of, for spite.
The differentiator for me is Nebula wants to do it the way her dad wants her to do it, whereas Loki is more interested in doing it his way. There's kind of a nefarious manipulative thing going on that is very self-generated.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they both want similar stuff. For sure.
So we were talking off and on about levels of health. Both of those are examples of characters that, for the most part, were shown to be sort of caught up in fixation. Although both have had growth.
But Loki at the end is like you consider a good guy.
And Nebula too. Yeah.
And Nebula too.
So they both had a lot of growth, but they spent a lot of the storyline in their respective storylines.
Playing a villainy role.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want to do Bucky Barnes?
He's another one of those. Maybe this, maybe that.
Yeah, get a meh thing about
him. Well, which brings up a type of its own.
I would love to tell the audience, please, what the meh type is.
Talking about fixation, but there's a 9-ish quality. Even when in the first Captain America movie, he's kind of going with the flow. The flow happens to be we're going to war, but still he's sort of going with the flow. And he wants to merge with the friends around him. He doesn't want there to be conflict. So when they show Steve Rogers before his transformation, wanting to join the fight, he just wants things to be okay. So that's what makes me think 9. Of course, now that's not when he is in his trance.
When he's basically a robot.
Yeah, right. But when he's being himself, it seems like he wants to merge with the people around him. He wants to be part of things.
Yeah, I get a lot of love from that dude. 9 makes sense. 2 randomly. I don't really. It's funny because you think of these kinds of movies, you don't think of the 2 energy floating around much. You know what I mean?
Well, unless you're thinking of Captain America.
Touche.
See, it all comes back to Captain America.
I'm just happy with that touche remark.
Touche.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Stan Lee, is that worth touching on?
Yeah, of course. He's the heart of the Marvel universe.
No doubt.
But 7.
Oh, to be honest,
no.
I mean, I think 7 would be great. I don't know much about him personally, but based on the Marvel universe and what he has created and the visionary way that he brings, and even just he always brings a playful little joke in every movie. Like he seems like a playful dude.
Yeah.
So I think 7 is very fair.
Yeah, and his main influence in the Marvel universe was back in the 60s and 70s and perhaps into the 80s. It used to be a little bit a lighter view of things as well. The heroes always won in the end and nobody really important ever died or stayed dead. The movies have gotten darker, which actually I enjoy, but there's more of a 7 energy about the origin material,
Totally.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. No fighting on that one. Captain Marvel?
Vaguely 3.
Oh, I went with 8.
Could be. So have you seen?
Even though I
Well,
haven't
you didn't
seen
make
the movie
you
yet.
didn't make it through
So
the
I
movie.
have a very important opinion on this one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, she's a high achiever. Get the job done. Do my best. All these things I think of as 3. But I could see the 8.
I like this one.
This is another one of those confounding things. You give somebody power, it can make understanding their personality a little bit more complicated. Suddenly, she's one of the most powerful people in the universe. Yeah. So she's got power. So that brings to mind just the 8 attention to power. But what makes you think she?
I just get the don't mess with me, and I feel like it's early on in the Marvel movie because that's literally the only part that I watched. Is there's an element of if someone tells her she can't do something, she'll be like, I will prove you wrong. There's kind of that, if you give me something to push against, I will push right back.
Yeah. I've only watched that movie one time.
Did you make it through in one sitting?
I did. But I might have been doing things on my computer.
Poor Captain Marvel. What is it
Yeah,
about?
she's up for a sequel though. I hope it does better. It didn't grab my attention.
I'm not sure why it was. I'm not sure if it had anything to do with Brie Larson. Like, she seemed fine.
Oh yeah. So 3 or 8, you tell us what you think.
You put Hydra culture in there, which I thought was an interesting thing to look at.
I thought it was something interesting to think about. I'm not sure I have a strong opinion on it. So I'm always interested in whole cultures or whole subcultures on sort of what the values they're operating on, according to the Enneagram. And I do think that every culture has a dominant.
What's
type.
the one where it's just they're shitty?
Yeah.
They're just terrible.
The type 0. It's the type 0.
It's funny. I go to 3 or 6.
Well, so let's think about some of their values: world domination,
power, greed,
power, right?
There's this is feeling more 3-ish. There's we don't really care what the impact is. There's kind of I think the Enron effect of ethics are not exactly highly held on to.
And by the way, in case you hadn't considered it, American corporate culture is generally considered to be a 3 culture. Yeah. Less than ideal.
Not the
3-ness.
most healthy in our culture.
So Hydra could be 3. I could see that possibility.
And if you, it could even be a 1 culture, right? But like I've heard Osama bin Laden was told to be a 1. It's just his version of ideals are just different than most everyone's.
I guess I land on 6 though, because I think it's modeled after Nazi Germany, and I do think of Nazi Germany as a 6 culture.
Yeah, and there's a super phobia dynamic going on there where it's like we need to.
There are people there are our people, and then there are
us and them, and that whole jam.
Yeah,
like 6.
Let's go with 6.
In fairness, I do have it there, and they seem suspicious AF, which means as fuck.
Yep, he has 6 written there.
I do, and even 3 because got to give it up for my people.
Yeah.
All
what else we got?
Well, we got the whole Guardians crew. Rocket. Let's start there.
Rocket.
The wisecracking little rabbit.
Rocket. Yeah. So there's certainly some 7 energy there. I'm thinking, is he a 7? 7? 7. I'm gonna land there.
7.
I'm 7.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Question. Okay, statement. 7. 7.
7, 6, or 6, 7. There's a. It's funny. There's a little like bite in there.
Yeah, there's a 6 bite.
Yeah, which is kind of giving me the 6-ish. Like there's a. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it. Little 6 bite.
They know what you mean. The 6 bite.
It's my people.
But I'm gonna land on 7 with the 6 wing.
Okay.
Self-pres, right? For those, you're not all that interested in the instinctual variant. Right?
Well, I just don't think of it. It's not that I'm not interested.
To me, it's really an important element because it's like, where does their attention go as far as I need to watch out for myself, or no, it's even more important about if I'm connecting with important people, or if I have some greater sense of where I belong.
Rocket has a self-pres vibe to me.
Yeah.
Sweet, got that one right. Happy guy. Okay.
So who's the tree? Groot. I think we probably agree on.
Do tell.
I think we agree. I don't know that we agree.
That is famous last
9
words right there. Yeah, that's what I want to.
It's just especially as a teenager, right? I just want to play my video game.
Just leave me alone. Check it out.
But when called upon to be heroic, he made the handle for Thor's axe. Right? He's actually done a few heroic things. When really called out. Like
Like,
wake up.
Wake up, buddy. Get in here.
Yeah.
Do your thing. That's true. All right. Well, then. Vin
Mantis.
Diesel's guy, or-
Mantis, is that her name? The one with the antennas? Is she
Ooh,
Mantis?
Yes. I haven't even thought of her. I've instantly go to 4. Not sure why.
I think her appearance is 4, but her personality seems to be very 9 to me. You know, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, and there's like it's her empath, sensitive way that feels very 4, like taking stuff on, being able to detect what's going on, like hypersensitivity. I mean, that's her gift. Is that? But yeah, I get you on the 9.
Because she doesn't. Because to me, that's really helpful to think. How 2 different types share certain things in common. Like if I'm thinking about Mantis, I think that's her name. Yes, she's an empath, and so that might call you to think a heart type. But then I'm also thinking what she thinks about that, or does she take pride in that? It's just part. It's just a fact
It's just
for
an
her.
isness to it.
Yeah, that makes me think 9.
Which it's funny. That would actually give me a 5. But she's clearly like one of the withdrawn types. What about
I'm glad you have all these notes.
The wrestler guy.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name. He's a crack up. I'm glad he's in there.
Uh-huh.
The challenge with him is he just appears kind of young, but what you see is what you get. There's no filter on that guy.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to
Which
think what type
makes
this.
you think.
You're really trying to milk this one out of me. We're just gonna have to be with my silence for a moment here while I think. So that would lead me to a heart, not a heart type. So 1.
We're talking about the shirtless, muscly guy, right?
For sure.
No,
Not 9. Not so much 8. I'm struggling this one. 6 or 1. Yeah, I don't know. I'm reaching.
I'm not getting either one of those. I would think 9 with an 8 wing, perhaps an 8 with a 9 wing.
Oh.
He's pretty much go with the flow.
Super go with the flow.
But he's got an 8 sort of. If you push me, I'll push back. He doesn't go out of his way to push people at all, which makes me think 9. But that 8 wing. So that's where I land. I don't get 1 at all. He's not sitting there thinking, is what you're doing right or wrong, or is what I'm doing right or wrong. More like Gamora might be,
Yeah, he's an interesting one. I don't even know how to think.
Yeah, he's also one that's not as fleshed out as.
Right, 9 might be a good guess because it's kind of I don't know. It's where you put them because it's kind of like a mixture of all the types. It's very well integrated, those 9s.
I think of 9 as very distinct. It's its own type.
Yeah, there's just a matter of factness about him that I can't.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's really attributed to any particular type.
For me, it's more than anything else. There's an easygoingness about him, even in the face of extreme.
Easygoing, doesn't care what other people think, at all.
Right. So not an image type.
For sure.
Very likely, and certainly he's not particularly thoughtful.
Yeah.
Which gives some suggestion about potential of head type, but yeah, he's not fearful. He's not a big plan maker.
No, definitely not.
He's just like, I got my chips, and
that's what they say about the head types is that they cope with life they strategize in order to plan things. So that kind of moves those off the table too.
He doesn't spend a whole lot of time thinking.
Yeah, 9's kind of the jam.
We're gonna settle on 9. Tell us what you think. I vaguely think of her as a 1 with a 9 wing. Mm-hmm. She seems quite self-contained.
I love how humorless is part of your description.
You can't look at my nose.
Oh, I'm looking.
Oh man, you could do that. I think she has a strong sense of who she needs to be to be right. But it's very self-contained. It's not outwardly focused like a 1 with a 2 wing might be. She's got her idea of a good warrior, a lieutenant is this.
And my sense is a healthy 8.
Yeah, it could very well be. So if she were an 8 with what wing?
9.
So we share the agreement on the 9 wing.
Just because it's definitely not 7.
Yeah.
But there's an intensity to her.
Definitely intense.
Which kind of has the 8-ish energy to me. There's I mean, she's a warrior at heart. There's no questioning that.
Right.
She will do what's necessary and assert her will if necessary.
Yeah.
Strong, badass woman.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I get from her.
Yeah, and if I'm trying to think, determine between an 8 and a 1, one thing I think about is if there's a vulnerability to second guessing oneself. And again, I guess I don't feel like we've got enough access into her internal experience to know. But that's a question that comes up if I'm trying to determine in real life, particularly like this woman seems a little 8ish.
Yeah, these aren't real people.
Not real people. No.
It's kind of sad.
So we got plenty more to go. You can't look at my notes. So
I'm looking for. I don't know who Peggy Carter is.
He doesn't know who Peggy Carter is. People, comments.
I'm not qualified for this.
Questions.
The talk apparently.
Captain America's love interest from.
Oh, Peggy.
Yes.
Okay.
Who I think
she's a little spunky fighter too.
Yes, she is. So she in her story starts out in war, and she's quite committed in a way that brings me back to instinct, which I tend to think of as social. Very sort of. She was also one of the founding members of Shield.
She was
social minded, but I tend to think of her along the lines of Gamora, one with a 2 wing.
Yeah, nice. I'll roll with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the attractive type? Like just the beautiful woman type?
They're all equally attractive.
This is true.
Here's a controversial typing. Ebony Maw, who you might not recognize the name, but that's the right-hand man to Thanos. He's the main talker who comes down and challenges Dr.
He's
Strange.
a dick. Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, so what type is a dick?
Why do I go to 3? Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, what is he? There's a strong self-righteousness with him. Kind of a I am better than you vibe that he's putting out. 1? I don't honestly. I lean toward 1, 3, or 4. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I mean, because again, he probably has about a total of 10 minutes airtime or something. But so I'm always asking myself, what's the value operating here? And he's the lieutenant to Thanos. He wants to be a good lieutenant.
Oh, it takes it very seriously.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking 2 with a 1 wing. I could certainly be wrong. That's why I say controversial, because normally you think of 2s as actually being helpful or wanting to be helpful. Well, this guy wants to be helpful, but just in a very evil way.
Yeah, it just depends what you value. I mean, that's what orients you entirely.
Yeah. And so he has that, 2, there can be a 2 energy that I really know what is best for you. And I think that...
Yeah, that pride thing really shines through.
Pride, yeah. That's where I landed.
Which is the passion of the 2, I think.
That is the passion of the 2.
I'm dusting up some knowledge here. Okay.
That's right.
I like that.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And we look forward to talking with you more about the Enneagram and other characters in the universe. Maybe that's the Avengers universe. Maybe that's another universe.
Yeah, we're kind of talking at them right now in all fairness, but we want to see those comments because that will allow us to actually bring that back. And maybe you'll change our mind on some stuff and we'll have some follow-up sessions.
I don't doubt there will be, give us some thoughtful, like why you think we're wrong about a particular type or you have a different idea and we want to hear it. So comments below.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. Cheers.